Arizona State, Big 12 Media Days just finished up, and joining us now from Devil's Digest, Hode Rabino. Hode, what's going on, man? Do you have time to talk to us? You're not watching the World Cup? France is up 2-0 over Morocco. What's going on? Taking a break?
Come on. I am locked into the Rock and Manuch show. Come on, guys. You know
Good answer.
So you heard, Coach. The quarterback room seems like it's wide open, but is it truly wide open in your mind?
I mean, let's put it this way. I mean, if Cutter Boley ends up being the starter, I don't think anybody's going to fall off their chair necessarily. It's just the fact that he did not have a dominating spring from start to finish, but he finished spring on a much stronger note than he started it. When you have a senior like Mikey Keene, when you have a true freshman, Jake Fetty, who has practiced very, very well in the spring, I don't think you can really just discount any of those two really mounting a strong challenge for Cutter Boley. But I think it's all said and done that Cutter Boley is the starter. And just like Kenny Dillingham said, I mean, he has a great arsenal of wide receivers at his disposal. So I think that ASU's passing game can definitely take a step forward, even if Cutter Boley is going to be the starter.
And also, Kenny hinted that, and they've got some good, solid backups. So I'm not saying anybody particular, but he liked the depth, especially at that quarterback position. And the one thing I really like about Mikey Keene, the big-time experience he's had, Hode, at Fresno State and at Michigan, et cetera, that if Boley is the guy, it seems as though Kenny's pretty happy with what's behind him.
Yeah, I agree because, Cutter Boley, did only have 1 year being the guy in Kentucky. So he's a very young quarterback himself. I mean, granted, he comes to ASU with much more experience than Sam Levitt did a few years ago. But nonetheless, it's still a very young quarterback. Jake Fetty, as I mentioned, a true freshman. Cam Dyer, a redshirt freshman. So, there is a lot of inexperience in the room. So when he brings somebody like Mikey Keene, that's definitely a great mentorship aspect that this position room has.
How did Dyer look during the spring? He was highly recruited. You talked about Fetty. Did Fetty come in for spring ball, Hode? Did I see that?
Yeah. It's very, very rare these days that a true freshman does not come in the spring. But yeah, Jake Fetty definitely came in the spring, and he definitely impressed quite a bit. I don't know if ASU would be as bold to have Fetty as the backup quarterback, either to Boley or Keene, if those are the guys that won the job. But Jake Fetty came with a lot of accolades as a 4-star signal caller, and I think that he showed a lot of promise and is really igniting the imagination after what we saw in the spring.
All right, Hode, biggest takeaway there in Frisco. What's the mantra for this team? That's Manuch's word, mantra. What's the mantra for this team?
Yeah, I think the mantra is really that the culture of this team is really stronger than ever. And with having a team that returns, maybe 3 starters from last year, it's very, very important for all those newcomers to be on the same page. So I think, in terms of the intangibles that are so important for a team that has high aspirations, I think they're definitely there in Tempe. But I also think there is a lot of talent. I think overall, definitely a different vibe compared to last year's media day, where ASU comes in as the reigning Big 12 champs, a team that was laden with veterans. And this year, just really coming with lower expectations and, not really getting the shine that BYU and Texas Tech, and even throw in, Arizona and Houston in there. So I think that ASU is very, very confident in what it has. Again, may not getting a whole lot of respect for the rest of the Big 12, but definitely confident in what they can accomplish. The biggest thing, guys, and I think we talked about this in previous shows, is their schedule. It's a brutal schedule. I'm not even talking about the London trip, but playing at Texas A&M, at BYU, at Texas Tech, all of them consensus preseason top 25 teams. That's something that ASU is going to have to contend with. Also, the fact that after the London game, they're going to have 9 straight weeks of games. The bye week comes very early in the year because of the London game. That is something ASU is going to have to contend with.
It's interesting when you hear Kenny talk at the media days. It's almost as if he welcomes, where they're projected to end up. A couple years ago, they were projected to end up in the outhouse, if you will, number 16. But the way he handles that is, hey, welcome the challenge. We're not concerned about it. All we're concerned about is KU or whoever, that type of thing. And that's, I imagine for his players that were there also, hearing that gives them confidence. So ignore the noise and just take care of yourself.
Well, like you said, ASU effectively killed the media preseason poll after they got picked last and won the championship. There's no more media preseason poll in the Big 12. That's it. So I think that really says a lot of how ASU handles the underdog role. And Kenny Dillingham said last year, if you look at the other side of the coin, that he wanted to beat history as a program because he knows, as somebody born and raised in the Valley, that every time expectations are low on ASU, more times than not, they really surprise. And sometimes they surprise big. But unfortunately, the reverse is the same. And we saw that in 2025. We saw that in many years past, maybe 2015. And in recent memory, that when expectations are sky high on the Sun Devils, that's when they falter and really disappoint. And granted, I think the rash of injuries that the Sun Devils had last year was absolutely ridiculous. If there's any such thing as the injury gods, I think they definitely owe ASU a favor or two after having so many key players miss significant time in 2025. But overall, I do agree with you that when expectations are low, from the outside of Tempe on the ASU program, that's when they usually do well. So I'm not going to be shocked if ASU defies expectations in 2026.
He's Hood Rubino, Devil's Digest. All right, at one point, Dillingham called this a player-run program, and he leaned towards the Tillman Leadership Council. Is this coach speak, or is this the real culture at Arizona State?
No, I don't think it's really coach speak at all. I mean, granted, the coaches really had to drive the culture through in Kenny Dillingham's first year, maybe somewhat into their second year. But I think having that enormous success in 2024 did show the returning players back then, did show incoming players that the culture is something that is definitely real. It is an intangible that I think every successful team has to have. So a lot of the culture activities, if you will, are really are player led. And I think the newcomers have bought in really quickly into that culture. Otherwise, you wouldn't see so many of those newcomers play as well as they did in the spring, or practice well, I should say. Because look, I mean, sure, there's one point where God-given talent really reigns supreme, but I think just having just a program that you're feeling comfortable to flourish in, and that's where the culture comes in. That's when you can see a lot of newcomers playing and practicing very, very, very well. So I think the culture at ASU is something that helped them immensely in 2024, besides having a great arsenal of talented players. But I think the culture is something that can help ASU have better than some expected chance to really overachieve in 2026.
Interesting that you say the culture, that with the 5 or 6 individuals that were there, you had 4 or 5 of them in the coach. You had them in the sport coach. Was that something that they wanted to do, or was that a mandate from Kenny before they got to Frisco?
Well, first of all, slight correction. It was actually 7 players, all of them members of the Pat Tillman Leadership Council. And those 2 actually made the debut last year. There's a great fashion designer. I apologize if the name escapes me right now, but he did design those great suits, which do have, the Pat Tillman embroidered, if you will, inside the jacket and the handkerchief in the jacket pocket. So that's something that ASU really started last year. But I think being part of the Pat Tillman Leadership Council, it's only fitting, no pun intended, that you would have a jacket that really would be having the Pat Tillman insignia, if you will, on it. It's something that ASU really takes seriously. And one thing about the Leadership Council, it's not just the usual names that you would expect to see. I mean, you see a newcomer like Lyric Rawls, a safety transfer from Kansas on there. You see offensive lineman as Jalen Clem, who really was a reserve for the entire year almost, and he's on there. There's some players that aren't really all pencil-in starters that are part of the Leadership Council. So that really says a lot about the makeup of that group. A group, by the way, that was voted 100% by the players. So again, you're talking about the player-led aspect of the culture. So I think that's something that's really, really important. And Ken Dillingham has said on many occasions, guys, that ASU is not going to be the one that's going to have the glitz and glamour facilities compared to some programs in the Pac-12 and around the country. It's definitely not going to have the largest NIL check to offer each and every player. So this is where the culture really has to come through, because I think just being upfront, being honest, being humble is something that is not a staple, let's say, with a lot of programs around the country. And when you don't have that fat NIL check to present each and every time, that's why it's so important to have the culture being established, being something that the players embrace, to be that stabilizing factor in what we know, guys, is a very crazy, crazy college football world these days.
Hold my last one. The first comment for Commissioner Yormark in reference to the Brent Sorsby situation. He didn't want to address it. Everybody was like waiting for something from the commissioner. He gave him absolute nothing. Will he eventually address that one way or the other?
That really is a great question. I mean, maybe he's going to catch people napping in the off season and make a statement then after the season is over. You know, obviously it's a very, very sore subject in the Big 12. I would say even a semi-dark chapter in the conference history. And I think that the commissioner and also Texas Tech just really want to have this whole episode behind it. So, I mean, I can understand that, the media day is a celebration of the conference as a whole and all its members. And he didn't want the spotlight to shine too bright on one program versus the other. It's not a coincidence that Texas Tech head coach Joey McGuire was the last head coach to speak in the day, because he's obviously the main course that everybody came to see. I was busy just doing my ASU coverage, but I think a lot of the neutral reporters out there were definitely ready for what Joey McGuire had to say, which he basically made it sound like he wouldn't change a thing. So, interesting episode and in the Big 12 conference history. But again, I think one that everybody would really like to put to bed. And Yormark was not going to give any media members something to chew on earlier this week.
All right, let's finish with this. Do you have any update on how ticket sales are for Wembley?
Yeah, Gramercini said a couple of weeks ago that the initial allotment of 6,000 tickets has already been sold out. So I think having close to 10,000 fans over there in Wembley coming from Tempe, or just being an ASU fan coming from any part of the country, maybe any part of the world at this point, is something that's going to be feasible. So it's something that has been well received among the Sun Devil Nation. Should be a great atmosphere. I happened to be there on family vacation a couple of months ago. I took a tour of Wembley Stadium. It's an absolute unbelievable venue. I think that any ASU fan that's making the long trip over there to London is really going to enjoy what that stadium has to offer.
Hode, great stuff as always, buddy. We're getting closer